Welcome to this tutorial of renewable energy resources. In this tutorial we will discuss basic concept of solar cell and solar tracking system. In the discussion we will go through P and N type semiconductor, very basic principle of operation of solar cell and basic concept of tracking. In the pure intrinsic semiconductor, if we observe the energy band diagram of if we observe the energy band diagram of pure semiconductor, it consists a conduction band, a valence band, and there is an energy band gap in between conduction band and valence band called forbidden energy band gap. In the conduction band consists free electrons. These free electrons can contribute in generation of current. In the valence band, holes are there. Holes can move in the valence band, electrons can move in the conduction band. And there is a energy level exactly in the middle of the forbidden energy band gap. In the intrinsic semiconductor, this Fermi level lies exactly at the middle of the forbidden energy gap, and this Fermi energy level shows the average energy of the charge carriers. So this is in case of pure semiconductor. But if we are doping certain impurity atoms, if a trivalent atom is doped in this semiconductor, in the pure semiconductor, if we are doping a trivalent atom like gallium, we are doping, then it creates energy level near to the valence band. This trivalent atom, this dopant creates a energy level exactly at the above of the valence band, and excess amount of holes are created in the valence band like this, and very few electrons are also created in the conduction band. So in this way, after doping the trivalent atoms, concentration of holes increases while concentration of electrons decreases. These holes are called in this case majority charge carriers, while electrons are called minority charge carriers. Similarly, and this semiconductor is called p-type semiconductor because positive charge are the majority charge carriers. And similarly, if we are doping a pure semiconductor with a pentavalent atom like arsenide, then what happens? A Fermi energy, these dopant atoms creates a energy level exactly below the conduction band, and the free electrons now can move easily from this donor energy level to the conduction band, and large number of electrons are created in the conduction band and very few holes are created in the valence band. So in this way, in the n-type semiconductors, dopants are the pentavalent and majority charge carriers are electrons and minority charge carriers are holes. In the p-type semiconductor, the Fermi energy level is exactly just above the valence band. In the N-type semiconductors, the Fermi energy level is exactly just below the conduction band. Now, if we are connecting these two type of semiconductors, means a p-type semiconductor here and n-type semiconductor here, then this Fermi energy level readjusts itself in this way. Suppose here is the p-type semiconductor. This is the energy band diagram of p-type semiconductor. In the p-type semiconductor, and in the p-type semiconductor, Fermi energy level lies exactly above the valence band here, and in the n-type semiconductor, Fermi energy level lies just below the conduction band. So the band will readjust itself like this. In the n-type semiconductor, Fermi energy level will readjust itself like here is the Fermi energy level. Just a minute. Here is the p-type semiconductor. Here is the n-type semiconductor, and Fermi energy level will become common like this. These bands will be readjusted in such a way that after combining the two regions, p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor, the Fermi energy level in the p-type semiconductor lies just above the valence band. In the n-type semiconductor lies just below the conduction band. And these energies are these bands are recreated as shown here. So this is the energy band diagram of a PN junction. When this junction receives solar radiation, after receiving photons from the sun rays, the energy of the photon is transferred to the any one of the electron contained in the covalent bond. After receiving the energy from the photon, this electron comes out of the bond, and if the photon has sufficient energy equal to the energy band gap of the semiconductor, then this electron jumps from valence band to the conduction band, and an electron is created in the conduction band, and similarly a hole is created in the valence band. In this way, electron hole pair are generated when light falls on the junction. After receiving the energy from the light, electron holes pair are generated, and the carrier concentration increases near the junction. This electron has ability to go down to this band from p region to n region, and hole has capability to climb up this barrier. So because of incident light, the electron hole pairs are generated. Electron moves from p side to n side, and holes are moving from n side to p side. This electron contributes current opposite to the direction of its movement, like the electron will contribute current in this direction opposite to the direction of movement of the electron. Also, hole contributes current in the same direction in which the hole is moving, like this. So current due to hole and current due to electron is in the same direction, so that the total current is the summation of this current due to hole and current due to electron. In this way, by receiving the energy from the sun, the device goes from non-conducting state to the conducting state. And if we will wait, if we will connect external load to this device like this, if we are connecting an external load like this to this device in this way, then the current will flow. After incidence of light, the current will flow in this direction and go through the load. For the further use, these charges can be collected in the storage system of the voltage, and they can be used anytime. So in this way, this PN junction can receive the solar energy and convert this energy into the electrical energy directly. This is the band gap theory of the PN junction as shown in the next slide. Here, when an photon falls on incident in the incident light, when photon falls on the junction, the electrons in the junction receives energy from this photon and comes out of the covalent bond. Due to this, electron hole pairs are created and charge density increases near the junction. These charges means electrons and holes start moving to their respective regions and contributes current to the external circuit. Now there is, when these charges, let me pick up the marker. When these charges start moving from one region to other region, means suppose the hole is moving from N to P region and electrons are moving from P to N region. In this movement, there are there is a high chance of their recombination, and if the charges will recombine, they will not they will after recombination, the electron and hole will create the covalent bond again, and due to this recombination, due to the recombination, the current will be reduced in the external circuit, because these charges are not going to the external wire from the device, so they will not be able to contribute any current. That means this recombination is reducing the current, this recombination reducing the efficiency of the conversion. This recombination will reduce the rate of current in the external circuit. In this way, so generally we have to avoid this recombination, and mainly this recombination occurs due to defect in the crystal. These defects works as recombination center. So these defects can be removed by refining the crystal nicely, and this refining process increases the cost of the device. And so this recombination is a cause for decrease in the efficiency of the device. The second cause for decrement in the efficiency, we are using suppose we are using silicon semiconductor. In the silicon semiconductor, energy band gap between valence band and conduction band is about 1.1 electron volt at 300 Kelvin. Means at room temperature, the forbidden energy gap in the silicon semiconductor is 1.1 electron volt. Means to make a jump of electron from valence band to conduction band, at least 1.1 electron volt energy is required. Means the photon falling on the junction should have 1.1 electron volt energy to create a electron in the conduction band and hole in the valence band. So it is not always possible to control the energy of a photon. We cannot control the energy of photon because the energy of photon depends on the frequency of light, which is Planck's constant. The energy contained in the photon is Planck's constant multiplied by the frequency of light. So the energy of the photon is solely dependent on the frequency of light. This energy we cannot control. So if the suppose a photon falling on the junction have the energy 0.5 electron volt, this photon has energy 0.5 electron volt. That means this photon will not able to knock the electron from the from the covalent band, and the electron cannot jump from the valence band to the conduction band after receiving this less amount of energy 0.5 electron volt. So after falling the junction, where this will energy will go, this energy will be dissipated in the form of heat near the junction. That means this photon will not generate any electron hole pair, will not generate any charge carrier in the device. That means this is the waste of the energy. Due to this wastage, the efficiency of the device decreases. Also, suppose a photon is falling on the junction and this photon has energy of 2 electron volt, but energy requirement for the movement of electron from valence band to conduction band is 1.1 electron volt. That means this photon has 0.9 electron volt more energy than required to knock the electron from the covalent bond. So in this case also the remaining energy will be dissipated in the form of heat. So in both of the cases the energy will not contribute in any type of charge generation, free charge generation. This will generate only heat on the junction. In both of the cases the efficiency of the device is decreases. So to increase the efficiency, many techniques are used, and many different materials are used, many refining process are used, and there are on the basis of refining process, means on the basis of purity of the intrinsic semiconductor, there are many categories of the solar cells. This is the basic principle of operation of the solar cell. Now we will discuss basic concept of solar tracking. For the purpose of tracking, a solar cell like this, suppose this is a solar cell. For the purpose of tracking, this solar cell is divided into two parts, two equal parts. One second, let me draw this diagram again. For the purpose of tracking, a solar cell is taken here, is divided into two different parts by using a separator. These two regions are exactly equal. So when suppose the light is falling in this on this solar cell in this direction. In this case, the left side of the solar cell will receive more sun rays, while the right side of this solar cell will receive relatively less rays, or you can say the left side of this solar cell will receive more energy than the right side. So that in the left side of this cell a large current is created, while comparison to the right side, while in the as the left side is receiving more energy, the more current will be generated, while the right side is receiving less energy, so there is a generation of less energy on the right side. A comparator will generate difference of these two currents, and this current is given to the controller. Controller will control a motor to rotate the solar plate. So if sun rays are falling in this direction, this current has a large value, this current has a less value relatively, then there would be a current difference at the outside of the comparator. This current difference, due to this current difference, the controller will rotate the motor and place the panel right in front of the sun rays. How? When this panel is placed right in front of the sun rays, the current will become zero. How? This current will become zero. Suppose this cell is exactly in front of the sun, then the rays falling on this cell will be like this. When the cell is directly in front of the sun, the both regions will receive the same amount of energy and they will generate same amount of current, and difference of this current will become zero, so that the controller will receive no current. Due to this, the motor will stop rotation and the panel will be stopped right in front of the sun. In this way, tracking system works. There is another way of tracking. If we can exactly predict the location of the sun in the sky according to the weather, according to the region, according to the time. So in the region, suppose we have to know the location of the sun at the 2nd May 2020 at the 2 p.m. in the day. Then easily we can find, there are some mathematical calculations, we can find the exact location on this day at the 2 p.m. of the sun. So if the position of sun is known at every time, then we does not have to use any feedback system. Simply we will place our panel right in that direction, because the direction is known to me. We will place, we will face, the panel will face the exact direction where the sun is. Even in the cloudy weather condition, in the cloudy condition also where the sun is not rising properly, in this case also this system can track the sun very easily. So there are two type of systems to track the sun. In this system a feedback is given. In this system, the system which is discussed earlier, in that system a feedback is given to the system, while in the second case we does not require any feedback system to track the sun, but it requires some mathematical calculations. Thank you. This is all about the basic principle of solar cell, also some basic concept of the solar tracking. Thank you.